go next.
Sandra Avila Beltran. 70 months in prison and 1.2 million fine. Sandra Avila Beltran is a name that may be familiar to those who follow the world of organized crime. Known as the Queen of the Pacific, Avila Beltran is a prominent figure in the drug trade in Mexico. It has been involved in numerous high-profile cases. Avila Beltran was born in Mexico in 1960 and grew up in a family connected to the drug trade. She became involved in the drug trade herself in the 1970s. She quickly rose through the ranks, becoming a key player in the Sinaloa cartel, one of Mexico's most powerful drug cartels. Avila Beltran's notoriety began to grow in the early 2000s when she was linked to a large shipment of cocaine that was seized by Mexican authorities. She was arrested and charged with drug trafficking but was eventually released due to a lack of evidence. However, Avila Beltran's luck ran out in 2007 when she was arrested in Mexico City. She was charged with drug trafficking, money laundering, and organized crime. She was extradited to the United States in 2012 to face trial. During her trial, Avila Beltran was portrayed as a critical player in the Sinaloa cartel, with prosecutors alleging that she had helped to smuggle large quantities of cocaine into the United States. Her defense team argued that she was merely a businesswoman without knowledge of the drug trade. However, this argument was ultimately unsuccessful. In 2013, Avila Beltran was sentenced to 70 months in prison, a relatively light sentence given the severity of the charges against her. She was also ordered to pay a $1.2 million fine. Avila Beltran was released from prison in 2015 and deported to Mexico. Avila Beltran's case is just one example of the ongoing battle against drug trafficking in Mexico and the United States. Despite the efforts of law enforcement agencies on both sides of the border, drug trafficking remains a significant problem, with billions of dollars in drugs flowing across the border every year. The case also highlights the role that women can play in organized crime. As the drug trade evolves, more women will likely take on critical roles in organized crime. While men are often seen as the dominant players in this world, women like Avila Beltran can be just as ruthless and influential. Overall, the story of Sandra Avila Beltran is a cautionary tale about the dangers of getting involved in the drug trade and a reminder of the ongoing struggle to combat organized crime in Mexico and the United States. Rosetta Cutolo, the predator of society. Rosetta Cutolo was a notorious Italian mobster who was the boss of the Camorra clan based in Naples, Italy. She was born on August 20, 1937, in Secondigliano, Naples, and was the sister of a Camorra boss, Raffaele Cutolo. Rosetta was known for being one of the few female bosses in the Italian mafia and for her ruthless tactics. Cutolo's criminal career began in the 1960s when she joined the Nuova Camorra Organizzata, a group founded by her brother. She became a high-ranking member of the organization. She was involved in various illegal activities, including extortion, drug trafficking, and arms smuggling. Cutolo was known for her violent nature and was feared by many in the criminal underworld. In 1984, Cutolo was arrested and charged multiple counts of murder, kidnapping, and extortion. The prosecution presented strong evidence against Cutolo, including wiretaps and testimony from former associates. During her trial, she remained defiant and showed no remorse for her crimes. She even attempted to intimidate witnesses and jurors. Cutolo was found guilty and sentenced to 9 years despite her efforts to sway the jury. The judge called her a predator of society and noted that her crimes had caused significant harm to the community. Cutolo was sent to the maximum security prison on the island of Santo Stefano. Maria Licciardi, the Little One. Maria Licciardi, also known as Lampiccolina the Little One, is a notorious Italian mafia boss who gained notoriety for her role in the Camorra, the Neapolitan organized crime group. She was born on January 24, 1951, in Secondigliano, a suburb of Naples, Italy. Licciardi is the head of the Licciardi clan, which operates primarily in the Secondigliano area of Naples. The clan is one of the most powerful and ruthless criminal organizations, involved in various illegal activities such as drug trafficking, extortion, and money laundering. Over the years, Licciardi has been arrested multiple times for her involvement in various criminal activities. In 2001, she was arrested on charges of extortion and released on bail. However, she was arrested again in 2003 on charges of drug trafficking and sentenced to almost 13 years in prison. During her trial, Licciardi vehemently denied all the charges against her, claiming she was a political vendetta victim. However, her attempts to evade justice proved unsuccessful, and she was eventually found guilty of drug trafficking. During her time in prison, Licciardi maintained her innocence and fought tirelessly to overturn her conviction. However, all her appeals were rejected, and she was eventually released from prison in 2018. In conclusion, Maria Licciardi is a notorious Italian mafia boss who gained notoriety for her role in the camorra. Her involvement in criminal activities such as drug trafficking, extortion, and money laundering has earned her a reputation as one of the most ruthless and dangerous camorra bosses. Despite her repeated attempts to evade justice, Licciardi was eventually found guilty and sentenced to 13 years. While her trial was marred by several controversies, she could not overturn her conviction. She was released in 2018 after serving 17 years. Judith Maryanne Moran. Judith Maryanne Moran, also known as Judy Moran, was a notorious Australian criminal involved in several high-profile crimes over several decades. Moran was born on December 29, 1944, in Carlton, Victoria, Australia, and grew up in a family with a long history of involvement in organized crime. Moran's criminal career began in the 1970s when she became involved in the Melbourne Gangland Wars. She was a close associate of several of the city's most potent and influential organized crime figures, including the Moran and Williams families. Over the years, Moran was involved in several crimes, including drug trafficking, extortion, and murder. One of Moran's most notable crimes was her involvement in the 1998 murder of her brother-in-law, Des Moran. Des Moran was a member of the Moran crime family, and he was shot and killed in a crowded Melbourne cafe. Moran was accused of organizing the hit and charged with murder. During her trial, Moran vehemently denied involvement in the murder, but the evidence presented against her was overwhelming. In 2001, she was found guilty of conspiracy to murder and was sentenced to 26 years in prison. Moran's reactions during her trial were mixed. She appeared stoic and unemotional at times, denying involvement in the crime and maintaining her innocence. However, she also displayed moments of vulnerability and emotion, particularly when discussing her family and the trial's impact on them. Moran's sentence was a significant victory for Australian law enforcement, demonstrating that even the most powerful and well-connected criminals could be brought to justice. However, Moran's criminal network continued to operate even after her imprisonment, and the Melbourne Gangland Wars raged for several years. Despite her conviction, Moran remained a polarizing figure in Australian popular culture. Some saw her as a ruthless and dangerous criminal who had finally been brought to justice. In contrast, others viewed her as a victim of circumstance, caught up in a world of violence and crime that she could not escape. In conclusion, Judith Maryanne Moran was a crucial figure in the Melbourne Gangland Wars, involved in several serious crimes, including drug trafficking and murder. While her reactions during her trial were mixed, she was ultimately found guilty of conspiracy to murder and sentenced to 26 years in prison. Moran's story is a testament to the ongoing battle between law enforcement and organized crime and a reminder that even the most potent criminals can be brought to justice.